Hello everyone, welcome to the Beowulf Training Podcast with me Ben.
And me Scotty.
We're back, we both got coughs.
Yeah, mine's kind of lingering, but yours is a lot worse than mine.
Well, it's definitely going to affect those listening on audio, and if you're watching as well, you're going to see us doing that. So if you're going to cough, Scott, try and get away from the mic, just for the people at home.
Yes, Mum.
I'll try do the same. So today we're talking about ego, and we've kind of spoke about ego quite a lot in the past. It's one of those topics that kind of always crops up. No one ever truly kind of gets rid of the ego, or at least it's very difficult to do in Monday life. So the placard basically just said, ego, the killer of progress. Which it pretty much is. But I wrote a little bit more, so I thought I'd kind of read that out. There are skills out there that help us reach the ultimate goal, living a better life. Ego is standing in the way of you acquiring them. Ego inflates the perception of ourselves both within and from others. Ego separates us from reality, and we focus on image rather than content. Ego makes you think that people care about things that don't actually matter to them. Confidence comes from competence, and ego tells you that you have both when you actually have neither. So let's kind of break it down. Ego inflates the perception of ourselves both from within and from others. I think that's there's kind of a strange balance with ego, right? Or there's a strange balance that we have when we just conduct ourselves in everyday life. There's the kind of image you put forward of yourself, and then there's how people actually see you. An ego can kind of create a more distant gap, or it certainly makes that gap less realistic. So if you come in the gym and you've got a huge ego, you might actually believe it a little bit yourself, and it helps you to an extent. And some people might go, God, this guy's confident, he's brash, like he must be pretty useful. But if that's coming from ego, it's not the actual reality of the situation. So you come in with a big old ego.
A lot of people hide behind ego.
Yeah.
You're saying?
So why do you think that is?
Lack of confidence. Fundamentally.
But the gym's quite an interesting thing it's quite a hard thing to mask, right? Like you can go in with a huge ego, but it's not gonna...
I think the biggest way that I kind of see ego, I suppose from a day-to-day perspective, is or people letting their ego get the best of them, is particularly when it comes down to like weight selection on any given movement. If you're looking at someone squatting or they're pressing or whatever, they'll always, and I always find that it's more blokes than it is females 9 times out of 10. And again, you might have other experience, but blokes always have a tendency to put 5 or 10 kilos heavier on the barbell than they should do, because of the perception that other people around them what other people might think,
Yeah.
in terms of I want to bench 100 kilos. I'm not at the point where I should be benching 100 kilos. 100 kilos will pin me to the bench, and I need my mate to upright row it off my chest. However, I can say to my mates, I benched 100 kilos today.
Yeah, if you got
your ego.
Got the spotters on either end.
Your mates didn't see the spotter.
Yeah.
All you did is you moved 100 kilos from your chest to an extended position. So I benched it, right? It's like that's the way that I perceive ego taking over someone's gym experience, definitely, or training experience. We see it so often.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't achieve the desired effect, does it? You think if you see someone do a bench press like that, you're not convinced, are you? You're not like, wow, this guy's
so strong.
Yeah,
I'm actually looking more at the spotter.
It's more for the person.
He's really strong.
It's more of like an internal.
You just bicep curled 100 kilos. Good effort.
Or you and your mate upright rowed it. I remember there used to be a guy at the gym we used to work at, the big fitness chain gym, and he'd come in and his spotters used to dread him asking for a spot, because it was exhausting. You'd see he'd go on like the Smith machine, which is when you've got the bar on the rails, and do a bench press, and the poor fella's stood over the top of him just doing upright rows, wincing. His face is visibly like he's doing some reps, he's not, and the other guy's just bouncing this way, it's just way too hard, and then boom, racket. And when you saw him kind of fishing around for a spot, you used to see everyone leg it, basically, just spread away. I never spotted him, thankfully. I think I would have just let it pin him.
Isn't the whole purpose of a Smith machine is meant to be safer? So you can't put like spotter arms on it anyway.
Yeah.
So why do you need a spot?
Really good point. Yeah.
What do you need a spot for on a Smith machine?
Someone to watch you.
That's ego again.
Yeah, again, it's ego taking over. Reduced range of motion is a big one. So you see people like on a squat, they put a load of weight on, they do a little dip.
Up until that point, they've been squatting legit. I see some people, they're going, full depth squat, real nice spine position, and they get to the point where that in the back of the head they know they should stop. Like that's like my technical max. This is where I should be lifting for any given rep scheme, and they'll be like, I'll add 2.5 kilos on each side, and then you literally see the performance of the skill nosedive, and you're like, I'm all for testing it. I think the other thing as well is like ego. It's like people constantly testing that constantly. I want to bet myself all the time. I want to bet myself all the time. It's your ego just saying like, do more. You can do a bit more. You can do it.
That's short-term gratification.
So actually, like, earn your stripes.
Yeah, and see a plan through. It's not all about the testing. It's quite it's definitely an interesting one. You can tell the people that have big. They I think it's when you're motivated by other people's opinions probably more than you are your own. I think anyone with a big ego, honestly, truthfully to themselves, they're either aware, they're very aware of it. You get people like Noel Gallagher from Oasis. He openly declares he's got a massive ego, and he's like, I'm one of the greatest songwriters of all time. I'm rock and roll, and it's like. He's very aware of it. He's not just this ultra humble guy, and it might have worked him. We talked last week about people like Conor McGregor, Cristiano Ronaldo, that are very confident in their ability, and it could be mistaken for ego, but they're kind of backing it up, right? When you see your average gym bro like coming up to you, and it is guys more than girls, definitely. Like when you said that, like 100%. It's why women I think are easier to coach.
Easily.
Because they want to do it right rather than do it for other, demonstrate that they can.
We see all, just again, they're all just coming back into my head. Like, we run a syllabus, everyone gets a diary, they need to get ticks in their books when they've learnt new skills or whatever. The blokes are like, all right, so when can I get this done and dusted so I can start lifting weight? Like they're not acknowledging the whole point of the process of learning, educating, honing your skill level before you start increasing intensity by putting load on a barbell, for example. They're like, so when can I get this shit done so I can actually start doing the real training?
Yeah.
Like that's,
that's not the training to them, is it?
No, that's not the training. It's like I'm not training, I'm not being progressive until I'm now putting some big black plates on the end of my barbell, some big massive bumpers that make me look really fucking strong.
Yeah.
I've got 5 kilos on each side. the bumpers are so thick that it makes me look massive.
Instagram weights.
Dude, no one cares. No one really cares.
I think that's the thing is though, when you get people coming up to you and they're like, you didn't ask them. They're like, oh, just did this. Like I always joke with you, don't I? I walk over and go, I'll say something like that I've done that's incredible, that's not actually that incredible, and then walk off. No, don't worry about it, mate. It's pretty awesome. See you later. If you're going to tell people about it, just say Ben lifted a heavy weight, that kind of thing. Just leave it at that. Say it was really good. It was really heavy. You're impressed. Tell them that, but then don't go on about it. But if you are going to tell people about it, tell them that I'm really strong. That kind of thing. But like, just that. It's a caricature, but you see it quite a lot, right? You see it.
Yeah,
and I've got no problem with people doing awesome things, and then like Instagram, you can tell people when you've done something that you're proud of, right? There's no shame in that. You put something on Instagram, people don't have to interact with it. When you forcibly go up to someone, you're like, look what I did. This is pretty ace. That's a bit odd, right? That's when it crosses that boundary of like, you're invading my own person, you're coming over to tell me about this. And this isn't a kind of a bash at social media in a sense, but it kind of encourages it. It's one thing I'm really cautious about. I don't like to write the weights down that I lift. So I'll just kind of say I did more reps than I did the previous time. I like that context, because that's what I'm thinking about when I'm in the gym. I'm not really like, I might lift 5 kilos more, but it's the 5 kilos rather than the total weight that actually
5 kilo
matters.
The incremental change or the progression rather than
Exactly.
the overall outcome.
I think if people focused on that a bit more, they would actually get to that stage where they wouldn't have to tell people about it. They'd just go, wow, that's heavy. Which isn't a great reason to be doing it from the first place. I mean, yeah, it's that whole thing of like, we put here, ego separates us from reality, and we focus on image rather than content. You know, if you focus on the quality of your workout and you put all that energy you're putting into kind of how your workout looks to people on the outside into actually applying yourself to the workout, you're going to have a way better workout, you're going to get way better results. Like,
Yep.
simple fact.
Agreed.
That's the other thing is, ego makes you think people care about things that don't matter to them.
Yep.
And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about confidence, you know, people being a bit afraid that about their clothes or whatever, and people will judge them and stuff like that. The reality is people don't care. You know, like in our
Particularly, we're talking about a gym setting, yeah.
yeah.
So, like,
yeah, in the gym that we're in, you know, unless someone did something particularly freaky deaky for the gym, you know, it's like someone deadlifted 300 kilos, word would probably get around the gym pretty quickly, right? But no one's bothered about, you know, you've got Mike out there that I've seen him deadlift 240, like, and stuff in the gym. That's the kind of the pinnacle. Like, he's really quiet about it, and he just does it and shuts up about it. But like, so I kind of forgot where I'm going with this. But what I mean is that people don't, unless it's kind of insane and just so far removed from what you see typically in a gym, people don't really care. The gym's full of fit, strong, fast people.
I think the other thing as well is, you touched on it earlier, is about the fact that people are thinking more about the way that other people perceive their workout, like, rather than the actual workout itself.
Yeah.
Do you know, they worry more about what other people think and their perception of them. Like, you know, saw Scotty training the other day, he doesn't look particularly strong, blah, 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 blah. Like, everything is always just about trying to please other people rather than actually, like, why are you working out in the first place? Improve your health and well-being, improve cognition and mental health, improve flexibility, digestion, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That people need to be focusing more on rather than the aesthetics, the outcome, and what other people perceive of them.
Yeah, more simply,
Yeah.
it's about getting strong rather than talking about
Being
how
strong.
strong you are. Like, it's nonsensical,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, there's that whole thing of like, did you really do a workout if you didn't share it on social media and stuff like that? And it's,
Well, like Mike was actually doing that. It's funny this morning. It's like, you know, it was, I think one of his clients didn't show or something, so it was like 7 a.m. He wouldn't normally train in the morning, so he's training in the morning, and I was training my client John, was doing muscle ups, and the squat rack was right in front of the rings, and Mike was like, he's trying to set up his camera so he can set up his camera to video his squats to put on social media to prove that he trained at 7 a.m. in the morning. Because unless I put it on social media, no one will acknowledge that I trained at 7. But again, that's it. That's what he did there.
Yeah.
But what I do like about Smalley as well, and he kind of really openly takes the mick out of people like that, is the fact that he'll put up failed lifts. He'll acknowledge that he's working on his Olympic weightlifting. He's a powerlifter by trade. Olympic weightlifting is something he's trying to get better at. He'll go for a 1 rep max deadlift and say it's super glued to the floor. You know, he's not talking to like he'll mention the numbers, but he has a laugh and a giggle.
He's a pretty humble dude.
Yeah. But you know, was the strong man? Icelandic.
Hafthor Beyonce.
Yeah, didn't he like hit a world record deadlift on
He did it on an elephant bar.
But it's like just shy of 500 kilos or something like that.
It was like 4-7 something.
Yeah.
So yeah, because
So when there's people out there like that, then you can't be coming into the gym like talking about how you've deadlifted 180 kilos.
Billy
Really
Biggs.
fucking
Yeah,
strong.
Billy.
It's like, well done, good job. Now let's go for 190.
It's like
it doesn't fucking
you
matter.
can do the dirtiest metcon here. Like, you could do it like and just be absolutely shattered. Pav ran across the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
He wins. You know, you can walk around and go, oh, I've done this great feat of endurance. You know,
I did Murph in under an hour. Well done.
So
Good job.
I've run across the desert. You know, it's like
Someone will always trump you.
yeah, that's my point. Is like somewhere there's Buzz Aldrin sat there going, I've been on the moon. Just story tops everyone, doesn't he? You can sit there and be like, you wouldn't believe it. I was doing a podcast with Scott, the Queen, Conor McGregor, JT, and they'd be like, I've been on the moon. You know, you can never win those things. So it's not that it's pointless to kind of, you know, be proud of your achievements, but it's an insular thing. It's you're better off keeping it in, and benefit, you know, focusing on what you're actually trying to execute. That you're talking about, like people setting up cameras and stuff to video. I mean, you look on some of the Instagram stuff, and I get that people are trying to run businesses, promote businesses. It's like, here's a shirtless dude talking about his socks. You know, like I don't want to see it. I don't care. But obviously people do. It's a very, very weird phenomenon. And it can be applied not just to training but to nutrition. You think like all the people that talk about how clean they eat, you know, and there's a bit of a PT thing, particularly with food, where it's like, look, I'm having a beer, I'm a normal guy too. And it's like, that's when your ego's like, I'm a PT, which means I'm kind of, for me it sounds like I'm better than everyone else. And it's like, yeah, but I have a beer, I'm just like you, I have a beer. You know, it's like, yeah, because you're just a PT, you're not like this arbiter of all things perfect. Man, I'm getting a bit ranty now, aren't I?
Fuck it.
Yeah, so here's the list of people that we don't like. No. But yeah, it's. I think ego is one of the greatest things that actually holds people back. You know, and it's not sometimes. You know, we've talked about all the things about people that are actually showing up to the gym. Some people don't go to the gym because it will be a knock on their ego if they aren't that guy. You know, if someone considers themselves strong. I've definitely had people that have worked in kind of the corporate world and been quite, you know, been powerful in the corporate world, then made to feel, they go to the gym, they feel weak because they, you know, it's like, I'm this successful person, but this average dude that isn't can do more press-ups than me, they can squat more than me. And I've had clients come up to me and say that this is, you know, this is how I feel, I find it incredibly frustrating.
Check the ego.
Yeah, it's like, cool.
Check the ego, rein it in, and
you
let's
can
get to
sit
work,
and worry about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can sit and worry about it. You're not getting those 10 press-ups by doing that. Or avoid it altogether and just bury your head in the sand. It's like, cool. How much money you make? No one gives a shit in the gym. Like, that's the beauty of it. You can't look at someone's workout and go, oh, this person is more successful than the other one. Do you know what I mean? It's painfully honest in that sense. It's like, what you put in, you'll get out. Yeah, and I think that wraps up quite nicely. Do you want to go into Q&A, mate? We're 18 minutes in.
Yep.
You've got class in a bit, haven't you? So we'll just do a quick one. What are your thoughts on meditation? Scott, you're quite a centered being, aren't you? You're quite soulful.
Yeah.
Meditation, have you... What do you understand about it? Have you tried it? Do you know people that try it?
I've tried it. I'd like to say that I've given it a chance, but I just don't particularly have the patience. Like, I've been in a meeting this afternoon. I get really fidgety sitting down for parts of time and not feeling like I'm doing anything active and stuff like that. And I find it very difficult to switch off. And meditation of that kind of process of not doing anything and just focusing on your breathing, I just get itchy feet. I can't switch off. So for me, like, I understand, you know, where people say, you know, find your own space, find your own head space, switch off from all the other stuff outside. But I actually find when I actually sit down and I actually have more time with my thoughts, it actually makes me feel worse.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm not distracted, if I've not got other stuff going on, if I'm just really thinking, like, I can just feel my thoughts just whirling around. So I'm actually thinking about the things that I'm not doing. I actually view it as a waste of my time sitting there doing it rather than actually going out, getting after it and doing something else. It's just the way that I've always been. It might be that
you're not good at meditation.
I'm not been educated on it enough. But maybe I need to give it another try. I don't know, but I'm just not in a position as well where I've really bought into it. I don't really see it as a potential valuable tool. So therefore, I'm not going to give it my all and not really going to reap the benefits of it if I don't really buy into it from the outset. So I suppose for me, I'm in a
similar train of thought. I mean, I appreciate that there is value in it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people. It's like it's a very common trait amongst like the hyper successful people. You know, like the 1% or whatever you want to call them. Apparently, you listen to Tim Ferriss, who's the guy that kind of does all the life hacky stuff. He interviews a lot of, you know, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, to world champion chess players, to financial experts like Warren Buffett and stuff like that. And a lot of the time, they actually those people, those high performers, do say that they meditate.
Maybe it's something we need to look into a little bit more, maybe.
But yeah, maybe like I've tried mindfulness.
Is that the sorry mate, not to interrupt you, is that the common thing between all of those successful people? Those that they all
Not necessarily all of those ones that I mentioned there, but he has a series where he interviews successful people, and it's one of the most common. I think morning routines and meditation are like the common traits that you see, and you get different types of meditation stuff. I've tried like an assisted one, and I had one. So I've done it about 2 or 3 times, I'd say. First time I did it, I had a very weird sensation where I felt not out of body. I became like very aware. It sounds really weird. I don't know if I fell asleep though. Like I could have fallen asleep and dreamt. I felt very aware that I was very small in the scope of things. I almost felt like I was panning out. It was really weird, and I was like, felt like I fell into my sofa. And this was just sitting down on like an afternoon. Was like, Jesus. It didn't necessarily calm me. I was a bit like, what the hell happened? And this was like, it lasted about a minute of just like feeling very tiny. It was weird. Not tiny as in smaller than I am, but being like, everything's the same. This sounds so daft. But I'm like on an island. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't.
I can't even articulate. So I read that and I was like, God, this is weird, right? This is what everyone's talking about. You know, going to like another place or whatever. Try it again. Just got bored. Was like, where is it? What's going on now? And the whole thing was like, you were saying like thoughts creep in your head, and you're meant to kind of acknowledge the thoughts and then watch them kind of float away. It's like very, very difficult, you know. It's a skill, right? It's a skill. I think if I said I was going to really go into it deep, I'd be lying. Like I don't have a particular interest in it. I find exercise quite mentally like clearing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you talk about thoughts and things like that. I can get into a set of some horrible exercise and I'll forget all of my woes pretty quickly.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
If you're worrying about not getting crushed by a weight or not having a heart attack generally, you can't be thinking about what else is going on in the outside world, can you?
Yeah. I think
I'm with you on that as well.
If you can find little things that can clear your mind. And
if someone came to you and said I'm highly stressed, the first thing I'm not going to say is meditate. The first thing I'm going to say is exercise and move.
Yeah.
And that's just from my own personal experience that, you know, I tried meditation because someone else advised it. Didn't work for me in the short term, so therefore I didn't buy into it. Not to say that it doesn't have its merits, but my personal opinion is,
and it's not
for me.
Yeah, I'll do things like read. I read a book, and that will focus my mind onto that one thing, and I can, like, I'll read before I go to bed, for example. You know, I wouldn't classify that as meditation, but it's a tool that I know I can rely on if I need to kind of clear my head.
Diverting focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're focusing on something completely different to what you've potentially been doing for the rest of the day.
Yeah, but you could have something engaging, you know, like a puzzle or a game or something like that, like that requires your concentration on that and only that. If you're like playing a level on Mario that's insanely hard or whatever, you're not there thinking about everything else. Whereas like likewise, if you're doing something really easy, like driving, you know, when you start driving, you've got to you really focus. Then by the end of it, you're like you said to me, I don't know how I got in my car, and I just, you know, you're just on autopilot in a weird way. So your mind can wander. It's not going to be an effective tool. So that's our thoughts. But if you want to meditate, go get some. Get after it. Get angry and meditate. Cool. Thanks very much, Scotty. Even though you've got a really big ego, we appreciate you coming in here.
You know,
and blessing us with your presence. Yeah. I'm going to go lift some godlike weight now. I'll see you in a bit.
So, mate.